Hey, everyone, and welcome to another EstateSales.NET industry chat. Today, we're revisiting one of my favorite topics, and that is thrifting. Joining me today is John Yarberry, but most of you might know him as the Cincinnati Picker. On his highly successful YouTube channel, John takes his viewers picking through the great city of Cincinnati, and he hopes to make a few bucks along the way. So, John, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Absolutely. It's good to finally get to sit down with you and pick your brain a little bit. So, well, John, I guess we could just kind of start from the beginning. How did you get into the picking and reselling game? Kind of when did that start?
It started about 20 years ago, actually. I had a pickup truck, and my grandma bought a piece of furniture at a garage sale and said, "Hey, can you swing by to the garage sale and pick it up for me?" Because she'd already paid for it. So I went and got it, and they had a bunch of sporting goods there. And I was actually working and played against sports at the time that, they buy and sell you sporting goods. So
Right.
I spent like 20, 30 bucks on all the sporting goods at that sale and went and sold it to my boss. Made like 150 bucks. And I was just absolutely hooked from then on.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, like I said, I've been watching your channel for a few years, and we've definitely been a fan here. So I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit. Kind of walk me through a day in the life of a picker and reseller, kind of when you start, your first couple steps, and just kind of walk me through that.
Yeah, I can tell you that for me personally, no 2 days are alike. Some days I've got a lot of things packing to get out the door. Some days not as much, depending if not much sold the day before. And
Right.
depending on the time of year, I'm either hitting a bunch of garage sales or I'm driving to do private picks, things like that, or estate sales. Because probably from like April through September, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday, I'm always out in sales in the morning. That's like my first half of the day. And then second half, I'm just pretty much packing whatever orders are going out the door. But I've been doing this so long that I get lots of calls, lots of emails like, "Hey, I've got this, I've got that." So depending on what comes on my desk, I might be out running around the town, just going out and buying stuff.
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of our viewers have seen your videos, and a lot of the times it does start out, the videos start out you packing the orders and kind of going through and pushing the kiddo around in the cart from the post office. So when you go to sales and, whether they're estate sales or yard sales or anything like that, what are some of the first places you like to look? What's the first room? Let's say at an estate sale, what's the first room you go to?
Honestly, I got a tip from a couple different YouTubers that I've been using. I've always done the basement. The basement's my go-to. And then I seem to hit the bathrooms next, just because there's some like weird oddball things you can find. My philosophy in reselling has always just been, when everybody zigs, I zag.
Okay.
Everybody's looking for, the home run item, the video games, the vinyl records, whatever it is. I'm looking at the other stuff. Like, I'm finding the stuff that people aren't thinking about. My logic behind the basement is, in my experience, most of the estate sales, they've got all the best items pretty much in the living room, in the room that's closest to the front door. They're trying to guard them. They don't want them stolen.
Right. Yeah.
Like their premier stuff. A lot of times the basement, whatever they haven't pulled out of there, is kind of like a whatever price. It's cheaper. They haven't taken the time to price everything. They haven't, they haven't dug everything up. So it seems like I always find the best things for the best prices in the basement.
Okay. And, one of the things that I do like about your channel is that you are not afraid to negotiate. Negotiating prices at a sale, I believe it's truly an art form once you get comfortable doing it. And a lot of people, they're not. They're kind of afraid to haggle, and they live by the price tag. What are some advice that you have to a good haggle? What's your approach with that?
I think first you got to get comfortable with silence. My good friend Pete, the Craigslist hunter, is very good at it. And I've gotten better at it over the years, because you throw a price out there and a lot of times they just don't say anything. They're just thinking and thinking and thinking.
Right.
You just got to be quiet. Like, just give them time. Some people don't like the silence, and a lot of people will just cut right in and say like, "Oh, I'll give you $5 more," or whatever, because they're waiting for them to say something. So get comfortable with the silence. Whatever you're going to offer, leave yourself wiggle room to go up. Don't make your offer your best offer. So let's say it's $20 and you want to pay 15, offer 10. Because in my experience, 75% of the time they're going to counter. There's going to be a counter, like, "Hey, how about this?" So And the logic usually is they're going to split the difference with you. So if they're asking 20, I'm coming in at 10. Hey, how about we split the difference and make it 5? Or if
Gotcha.
they just flat out say no to the 10, then I say, okay, how about we split the difference and make it 5 or 15? Sorry.
Right.
And that seems to work a lot for me.
So it's easier to go up than, if you get them hooked right off the bat, you can't go back down and say, well, yeah.
Yeah. Because if my max is 15 and I offer 15, they say no, what am I going to do? I've got nowhere to go.
Gotcha. So like I said, a lot of the videos that you have, you kind of show your area, your bins that are labeled and all that good stuff. Kind of tell us how you got into that system, how you found the system that kind of worked, and if you have any other kind of organizational secrets or, with your stock and everything.
Yeah, I started that system after I kept losing so many items. This is probably, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. I was losing stuff left and right because I didn't
Right.
have a really good system. And I can't remember who it was at the time. Somebody had a video where they were kind of like doing like a letter and number system like that. And I was like, this is perfect. So it's pretty simple. I've got 5 shelf racks. So like the top one is 1, 2, 3. And then I just, if the whole rack is A, it's just like A1, A2, A3, and then boxes like that. But it works great. I can't remember the last time I've lost something. It's been a really, really long time.
Gotcha. And I'm assuming you have sort of, I haven't seen it, but do you have like a ship station that you use? Or are you using like stamps.com or something like that to print your own labels? Or
yeah, I use Pirate Ship. I really, really like Pirate Ship. Stamps.com, I don't know if they still charge, but they used to charge like a monthly fee or something.
Oh, okay.
My experience, it was not very user friendly, and I didn't want to pay any kind of monthly service or anything like that.
Just
I
find
love
something
Pirate Ship because I can always print a scan form at the end of the day and just hand it to my guy at the post office. Zach's always happy when he's got that sheet instead of scanning 50 things.
Right. So yeah, just basically find something that works for you and easy to use. But so on a recent interview that I did, I actually spoke with her name is Virginia Shamley. She's the author of Big Thrift Energy. And she had a funny story, and one of the rules that she says is called the no man left behind. Basically saying that if you want it, get it. Don't have any regrets when you leave the sale. If you want it bad enough, go ahead and buy it. I know you have to have some of those moments. Get into a few of the instances where, you didn't pull the trigger on something that you wish you had.
I can tell you one that sticks in my memory really bad. And it's not so much that I didn't pull the trigger. It's just that I was 30 seconds too late to a sale. I'm a huge Cincinnati Reds fan, obviously, and the old stadium was called Crosley Field.
Okay.
It was torn down. I don't think it was like 1970. It was torn down, and the seats from that field go for a lot of money, like upwards of $1,000, depending on which seat it is. And I saw a guy leaving a sale holding a Crosley Field seat. I was like, oh my God. So I went in, I'm like, I know you just sold that seat, but I don't even want to know how much you paid for it. Like I didn't want to know. It was hard to swallow. But yeah, there's times where I walk away from the buy. I'll be honest, like I'm on the other side of that. Like if you want to buy a thing, because I've been doing this for 20 years. So I think I have more bad buys than I do buys that I wish I had done. And that's just, that's how you learn. Like you've learned through doing bad buys. So I have the luxury of a lot of stuff coming my way all the time. So I can afford to be picky with things, like it's really got to be a good buy. I really got to feel good about it in order for me to pull the trigger on it. But yeah, I think a valuable lesson for every reseller is just knowing to walk away. Like, yeah, if you want it, there's money, like go for it. Absolutely. But if you're second guessing yourself that much, it's probably not a great buy. Like that's the advice I would give.
Okay. And obviously, once you pull the trigger on the items and you're already kind of running through your head, this is, I'm buying this item for this much. I can possibly sell it for this much. The number in between has to be worth it for you to even buy the item. What are you using? I know you use eBay a lot to, get, comparable prices for items. What else are you using out there to kind of determine the value of what you get?
eBay is definitely the number one.
Okay.
To be honest, I'll use WorthPoint some, but that's really just looking up old, eBay prices.
Okay.
If you have something really rare and unique, sometimes you can find sold listings from like auction houses. For instance, we have one here called Everything But the House.
Okay.
And you that's a good barometer. I really don't like looking at too many websites or forums, or somebody's going to say it's worth this much, because I want an actual sold price. Like
Right.
the only info I'm going to go off of as far as value is what someone actually paid for something, and like when they paid for it. So if it was fairly recent. So yeah, eBay is definitely the go-to. I've seen so many things now over the years that I'm pretty comfortable with, like values, prices. So a lot of times
Okay.
that's kind of a pretty good idea.
Are you utilizing, I'll pull like, a line from Pawn Stars. I know a guy, or let me call a guy. Do you work with any like local experts on certain items that you find?
I don't know if I'd say local experts, but I'm fortunate that I have a lot of friends that I know. I've got a friend that's huge into comics.
Okay.
Like anytime I get comics, he's always my go-to for that. Like I have a specialty in sports memorabilia, sports cards, sporting goods. So a lot of people come to me for that. And if I've got jewelry, I've got friends that I go to. Like that's the beauty of networking with this
Yeah.
whole reselling thing. Like it's a solo job, so you've got to really have a big network to set yourself up for success.
Right. Right. And on a side note here, I think our viewers will see that we have a battle of the NL Central going right now. Got my Cardinals hat on. You got the Reds, and so we'll see how the season plays out, I guess, huh?
I don't know how much of a battle it's going to be. You guys got a good team. The Reds won't be doing a lot of competing this year, but
Right.
I still
Right.
love them.
So let's, one thing, especially in the estate sale world and secondhand, you always try to follow trends, things that are hot, things that are kind of going out of fashion. As far as the thrifting and reselling world goes, what are some trends that you're seeing right now? And what should people kind of keep an eye out for when they're going to these sales?
Honestly, I think the biggest driver of popularity of items is nostalgia.
Okay.
80s and 90s stuff is so hot right now, and things that you just wouldn't expect have value, like VCRs are coming back in a big way. There's TikTok accounts where people will have their whole room decorated in either 80s or decorated in 90s, and to the point that they are personifying people in that era. Like they're pretending they're in the 80s, or they're pretending they're in the 90s, and that's their whole account.
Right.
And they've got videos that go crazy viral, and they'll go live as if they're in the 90s, and answer
Yeah.
questions. It's amazing. So, and it's not just TikTokers, it's just people in general. They're nostalgic for their childhood. They want the toys they could never have when they were a kid, or they did have and got thrown away, so they want those toys again. So nostalgia is huge.
Okay.
80s stuff, 90s stuff, not just the toys, not just the music, but sometimes some of the clothing, like randomly, like some of the you'll find Nintendo comforters, like just weird stuff that ties that nostalgia to the 80s and 90s, I think is really big.
So I'll bring up another video that I watched. It was like, I don't know the guy's name. I'm assuming it's him and his wife, but you went down to his basement, and it's just like, he's got these back rooms. It was the house with the alien in the case, like downstairs. Like that was nostalgia overload watching that video. Just like I wanted to be in that house and pick with you and just like get my hands on all that Nickelodeon stuff. And so yeah, that's really cool. We've actually worked with somebody, his name is Vintage Zach, and he goes out for like the 80s and 90s clothes, which is really cool, like that fashion stuff. So yeah, nostalgia definitely is definitely going to sell. So well, like I mentioned, I mean, you definitely have a very successful YouTube channel and social media presence. I know that that can kind of be half the battle when you're trying to get yourself out there. What's some advice that you have for people that are like trying to grow their socials, especially on YouTube, which is, I mean, saturated with things like how are you making yourself stand out?
I'll answer the first part of that first. Like advice I would give to people trying to grow. Always have fun with it, no matter what. It
Okay.
has to be fun. If it's part of your business plan of like, oh, I'm going to grow this and it's going to bring in X amount of dollars, just cut that out right away. Like have fun with it, do your own thing, see what works. Just start shooting videos and see what sticks, what lands, what feels comfortable for you. Personally, I made videos for 2 years before they even brought in a dime. So I was just churning out content, having fun with it, enjoying it, and then eventually they started taking off. So that's the first thing. As far as like separating yourself, just be you, be genuine, be
Right.
authentic. Like, don't type anything out as a script. Don't say things that you think people want to hear. Don't use a voice
Right.
that's not authentically you. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like hyping things up. Because if you set the bar there of that inauthenticity and, a hype person, you have to keep that going throughout all your videos. And people are just going to see right through that. Just be yourself
Yeah.
and find what your niche is and how you can convey that in videos, because no one else is you.
Right.
No matter what it is, only you can be you. So that is going to separate you from everybody else from the get-go.
Be kind of hard to keep up a character if you see somebody in person. They're like, "Hey, wait a minute, where's that catchphrase you're always using?" So definitely get what you're saying there. So, um, again, in the secondhand world, we're always, well, I guess it's true for any line of work that you're in. You're always learning. You're always, growing and things like that. So, from your years of picking and reselling, what are some of the most valuable lessons that you've learned, would you say?
I think the number one lesson is you have to network. My motto has always been people over profits. Like I've been fortunate enough to build a really, really big network of people that I buy from, sell from, that I'm in constant communication with. I just went on a private pick yesterday and bought about a dozen things or so. And they had some really, really interesting stuff that I actually messaged my friend Josh from Mojo Casher, the guy that you mentioned when I was in his
Yeah.
basement,
Okay.
and had the alien. This person had this handmade alien statue that looked amazing. So I sent a picture to Josh. I was like, "Hey, do you want this?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So just always, every time you're doing a deal, just think about the long term. So like if somebody is bringing you stuff, you're going to buy a bunch of stuff, and you're thinking of paying them 200, pay them 250. Like, hey, I'm gonna give you extra, and next time you got stuff, let me know, message me. Let's keep this relationship going. I've
Okay.
had so many relationships that just keep going and going and going. People keep bringing me stuff because I tend to overpay a little bit. I want to keep the things coming in the door. So
Yeah.
network is absolutely huge. If you're just solo, you're out there beating the streets, hitting thrift stores, garage sales all the time, you're not going to scale up nearly as fast as if you've got people bringing you stuff.
That's great advice. We definitely talk about, the importance of not burning bridges and that sort of thing. Again, I'm gonna keep referring to your videos because I was hooked. I would definitely went down a pretty deep rabbit hole last night. You went to you bought a bunch of Funko Pops for a guy, and he actually told you that you were kind of the reason that he got into the Funko game. It was at a mall or something. I can't exactly remember where, but that's proof that you inspired him to do that. He's passing along. You paid him a little more for what he was asking for that, to keep that ball rolling. So that's great advice, and I hope everybody really listens to that and takes it to heart. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Last year, EstateSales.NET kind of launched a secondhand life campaign, which has 5 or 6 different cornerstones of it, and sustainability is one of the top ones that we really focus on. Giving life to these items that have been around for a long time and making sure that they don't end up in a landfill and things like that. So, how important is sustainability? How important of a factor is that in kind of what you do?
I'm I'm 100% on board with you, and I love that mission that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've even had ideas of starting a junk removal business because I know how much stuff goes to the landfill, and possibly finding homes and communities and people to just donate the stuff to, like having a place where they can just come get free furniture or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, it's really big to me, because like you said, if I can save something from the landfill, that's huge. Because when you go to garage sale, a lot of the things that don't sell either get donated or trashed. And a lot of times it's trashed.
Right.
So like our neighborhood, my community, when we have a neighborhood sale, usually the day after, I'll go just to see what people throw away. Like, what
Yeah.
can I save from the dumpster? It might not have been worth really buying or do anything with, but I can take it to Goodwill,
Right.
find somebody that could probably use it, that kind of thing. So it's crazy what people throw away, and it's just really sad. And there's so much stuff that gets trashed that people could really use.
Right. A lot of this stuff was on someone's, grandmother's counter and saw her kids and grandkids grow up, and now it's just going to end up in the trash. It's definitely sad. And I think if a lot of people kind of, band together and really see what they can do as far as keeping this stuff out of the ground, that'd be great. Whether it's donating it to Habitat for Humanity or whatever you might do with that. So again, we're going to kind of continue this whole year to really push that initiative and spread the awareness. So John, how would you say that, thrifting and reselling has changed 20 years from today?
Oh my gosh. I mean, completely. 20 years ago, a vast majority of it was in person. Flea markets, live auctions. There was just so much more in-person sales than there are now. Live auctions are really going the way of the dinosaur. I can remember going to live auctions once, twice, 3 times a week. There was
Right.
tons of them all over the place. It was a very popular thing for an auctioneer to come to an estate, one by one, sell everything in the house. That seemed to be like the go-to option. Now you can either do an in-person sale or you can do an online estate auction, which is getting more and more and more popular. So I think from in-person to online, that's really shifted. And obviously what was popular has shifted big time. I mean, the things that sold yesterday are not going to be what sells tomorrow. So
Right.
you really have to be unattached to what you think about what something's worth and what someone's willing to pay for it. Because if you think something is worth 100 and people are really only paying 50 and you're just stuck in your price, you're just not going to get it. And if you're stuck in the past of what things used to be hot and you're still buying them and you're not up to date with the market,
Right.
it's not a good business model at all. You just have to constantly be shifting, like shift all the time. My motto is sell it as fast as I can. Like, obviously I want a profit. I want a good profit, but I'm not trying to get top dollar, because if I find a buyer and it's a good profit, take it and roll it into the next buy.
Right. That's great advice. Yeah. That way you're not sitting on a bunch of stuff forever. You can just kind of move it and keep the circle going. So, well, John, just tell us some projects that you have coming up. And if you want to go ahead and like plug your website and your store and all that, just kind of plug everything you got, and we'll make sure we put everything on the screen so people can find you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, my YouTube and Instagram is Cincinnati Picker. Big event we have coming up is the Reseller Rally, September 30th in Cincinnati, Ohio. Tickets are officially sold out. We announced it a week ago. Yeah, it was a week ago today we announced it. And I think as of Sunday night, we were all sold out of tickets. We did it in 2017. Pete the Craigslist Hunter started it in Chicago. And then we did it again in 2021 in Cincinnati. Had an amazing time. It was so much fun. Just seeing everybody from the community come together and have fun. A lot of friendships were made that night that are still going strong today. So to do it again, we're really, really excited about it.
Awesome, man. Well, again, John, I know you're busy. You got some sales to go to and some money to make. So I definitely appreciate you taking some time out of your day. Again, everybody, this is John Yarberry, also known as the Cincinnati Picker. Find him everywhere online. And we can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Thanks.
Thanks, Tim.